I'd like to talk a little bit about implementing a system and not a SaaS. I know the term SaaS, software as a service, is a term that we use. The concept of implementing SaaS is not the way to go. What you want to do is implement a system, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And I'll give you a scenario to try to get you to understand the difference between the two. So imagine you have a gentleman that is leaving a hotel. That gentleman goes into cardiac arrest. They drop to the ground. They're no longer breathing. Their heart has stopped. You have to think about the time that it takes for someone to actually dial 911. So they see the person and then they actually dial 911. That could take a minute, 2 minutes, even longer if there's not a witness. And so the 911 call comes into the dispatch center, and then they use a protocol. They go through their process to process the call. And so that's the intake time. And so we're looking from the time the call comes in the 911 center to the time the call is dispatched. And typically that could be around a minute or even more. And then the resources in the field, ambulance, fire units, law enforcement, whoever, they receive the call and then they come up on the microphone and they say responding. And then you have drive time to the call, good paramedic, good EMT, they're rushing to get to the patient. The patient's in the lobby, they make it by the patient's side. All of that is time that should be calculated. They do all the things that they should do. They use an AED to assess if the patient needs to be shocked, if the patient needs to be defibrillated, and all of that is time. When we look at that scenario and all the things that have to take place in order for the patient to have a successful outcome, maybe you impact the initial call in your phone system, or maybe you impact the protocol. Maybe you impact the entirety of the process, your CAD. Maybe you impact the information that is received by the responders, whether your radio system or the MDTs. All of this is a part of a structured system, and that system, everyone plays an important role. When you're implementing tools that can result in save lives, you need to understand how those tools impact the entirety of the system. And so, again, when I'm talking to vendors about what they're implementing, what I want to know and understand is their view of how they fit in the entirety of the system in a positive way. And when I mean other things, other tools that are within the system that I have to be responsible for. In addition to that, what is the emergency dispatcher journey? What is their experience? And are you interested in figuring out how to make that experience better? So when I'm working with customer success and implementation folks on implementing, I'm working on their mindset of the entirety of the system.